After some days with no wind, the wind was finally back, and we set sails for the archipelago and national park of Djurö. In this area, when there's a little bit of wind, the waves get really short and choppy, causing a lot of movement in the boat, even if the waves are small. And if you ever wondered how it's like to be inside a sailboat when there's a little bit of wind and waves, this is what it's like. This is Tilda. Buying a budget boat with a dream of long-term sailing, I got myself a lot of work. But one step at a time, the journey has begun in no rush to sail as far as possible and instead taking the time to enjoy and sharing the experience with others. I hope you will enjoy too. We're doing quite good speed, a little bit more than 6 knots at the moment, and just enjoying being able to sail again. Then we had Djurö in sight at the horizon. The first island we passed is the main island, with the lighthouse, and there is a small bay, but we couldn't find a good spot with some boats already there. So we were continuing on to have a look at the other islands and hope to find someplace good to anchor. To give you an idea of the size of this archipelago, it's in the very middle of the big lake we're sailing, and it consists of more than 30 small islands. We did find a really good spot in one of the other islands. That meant we had to take the dinghy to go to the main island, because there is where the hiking routes are, and there is also an old hunting place for fallow deers. We really hope to get a glimpse of some of the deer still living on the island. As we got closer, it was really shallow, and there was a lot of informal markings in the water, a little bit hard to understand on what side to drive of everything. This is the old hunting lodge that was built in 1901. It's still in private possession, but there is no hunting anymore, and around 15 fallow deer are still living on these islands. And there is a lot of bird life, but there is no people living here anymore. Before, there were families of fishermen here, and they had to row quite a while to sell their fish.
Men jag är inte helt säker. Det gick inte fort. Jag bara hörde något.
Jag hörde också någonting knacks.
Ja, så studsade bort över här. Dun, dun.
After a stop at the hunting lodge and our almost seen deer, we continued our tour to the lighthouse.
en form av rovfågel i trädet där borta.
When the hike was finished, we took a sightseeing tour with a dinghy among all the islands when the sun were about to set. It was really a good experience. So beautiful, and the nature is really incredible and very shifting here. And we got the last glimpse of the sun through the trees before we were heading back to Tilda. The next morning we woke up from the wind shift as the sun rose, and we decided to leave early, although it was only 4:30 in the morning. So we made our morning coffee and enjoyed the beautiful surroundings. Then we made a nice pie from the blueberries that Jenny brought us some days earlier, and so far everything was perfect. But you might remember we had some problem with the charging a while ago, and I was happy it was not the temperature. Well, this time it was.
Unfortunately, we have a leak in the cooling system that we need to try to fix. So into the engine room.
I was hoping for an external leak, and there was a little bit of cooling water in the engine room, and I could tighten some of the clamps, but it was a little too optimistic. When we were filling up the system and running the engine again, it kept leaking. Fortunately, we were near our next intended stop where this happened, and we motored a short way there. And then we concluded the heat exchanger was likely to be the issue.
Today was not the day we expected to be. We have trouble with the engine cooling. So we think it's the Martic, and we have a sort of late lunch stop here at the beach because we want to do something nice as well. So when the guys have had their swim and we had our lunch and some beers here, we're gonna go back and take the heat exchanger apart. The boat. This one is the one that we should take apart.
Unfortunately, it didn't look the way I assumed, with the tubes possible to just pull out for an easy pressure test. So we had to come up with another solution, and we decided the best thing is to remove the heat exchanger entirely.
We have removed the heat exchanger, so we're going to try to connect the seawater through the impeller directly to the cooling system. So we're gonna take this hose.
We connected everything, and then it was back to its original way. Now it was time for dinner.
Det ut som vår nya grill sköter sig i alla fall. Ja, den nya grillen tänkte jag mest på.
Har vi bord idag?
tänker jag vi ska ligga kvar ett tag här så får vi passa på och se det positiva saker, eller säger ni?
And that's it for today. I hope you liked the episode, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up.